Personally, I had very low expectations for E3 this year, so it's nice to see some big announcements and surprises. Who do I think won E3 this year? I'd say a tie between Microsoft and Sony, as they brought so much to the table and were just announcements after announcements after announcements. Very few things had to be explained, demos and trailers were the stars. I felt that Sony had a far better presentation than Microsoft's conference, so it does have that. Well, to make this easier on myself, I'm just listing off what I liked from all three, starting with Microsoft. Aren't their conferences so much better now without that deadweight Kinect hanging around? I'm not set on buying an Xbox One, but it certainly is starting to look tempting. Favorite parts for me have to be Recore, the platforming parts look good to me, Scalebound, that boss fight got my attention, Killer Instinct Season 3 with Gears of War character, Akuma in Tekken 7, I'm not sure if it's exclusive, but it would be cool if every console had its own special character. Sea of Thieves looks better than last year, the Xbox Live updates sound fantastic, cross-platform buy and play for Xbox One and Windows 10, the announcement of Project Scorpio that also sounds like it's backwards compatible with Xbox One and Xbox One S. Those all looked pretty great to me. Negatives? Still nothing that makes me want to run out and buy it. I guess my biggest problem with this, and Sony's, is the lack of colorful, cartoonish games and platformers. With the exception of one announcement at Sony's, but we'll get there soon. Also, quick mention of We Happy Few with that piñata part. Just a tiny bit freaked out, like everyone else who saw that. Sony, it's your turn! Honestly, I thought their conference last year was better, but you did really good this year as well. So much right and a little bit wrong. First off, what I liked. The Last Guardian. But we did kind of see that last year. And somewhere in the world, Brandon Jones shed a few more tears. Detroit Become Human. From the people who made Heavy Rain comes this game where... I'm not sure, is it one situation that has like 100 outcomes, or multiple situations that have 100 outcomes? Either way, this is more about watching what happens instead of playing a game, but from what I remember, it can become intense enough to make you forget the decisions in the game are just in the game. Crash 1, 2, and Warped are getting remastered from the ground up for PS4. I think it's cool that they at least did something to get Activision to make a Crash game, and hopefully this is a start for the developers to get acquainted with the series and hopefully be confident and successful enough to do a new one. Hopefully. I have yet to play a proper Crash game, so this sounds pretty good to me. Do you have any idea how much I wish the Ape Escape series would get this treatment? Insomniac doing Spider-Man. Wow, I got excited just seeing Insomniac show up. Then they say Marvel and Queens, and all I could think of was, Insomniac is doing a Spider-Man game? How cool is that? And finally, Hideo Kojima makes a legendary entrance and leaves us with a trailer for his new game, Death Stranding, which will be the debate of real or not until the game comes out or we see gameplay footage. It's not him I don't trust, it's Sony. Remember that Killzone PS3 trailer? Oh, this is what the game really looks like, but it really doesn't trailer? Yeah, we knew that he was already out of Mr. Pachinko's grasp, and was working with Sony, but I honestly didn't think we'd see anything in the short amount of time that they had to work on it. Downsides about their conference? I'm not sold on the PSVR. You have some great potential titles for it, but $400? That's more than the console. No thanks. And when a good chunk of the conference is that, kinda lost me for a bit. Quick mention about the God of War game shown. I'm not too big on the series, but I thought the demo was kinda cool in how the game was explaining itself, and not from the developers or players. Now we move on to our last group, Nintendo. We want to focus on Zelda and sprinkle a few other things here and there, yet the large booth we set up for Zelda still has ludicrous lines for it. Go figure. Perhaps it was for the best they skipped doing a direct with everything they announced, cause honestly, there isn't that much to get excited about, though this doesn't change the fact that they should return to true style next year and the years to come. Before heading into the monster known as Breath of the Wild, let me go over some of the other stuff to get them out of the way. New IP Ever Oasis. Maybe I'll pay attention to it later. Paper Mario Color Splash. To its credit, it at least looks better than before. New set of amiibos. Are people really going crazy for the Waluigi one? Okay, it's nice. And it's good to see new versions of Wario and Rosalina, but I'm not too thrilled with the Diddy closes eyes during the picture look. Pokemon showed off about 3 new Pokemon, and the Battle Royale mode, which I don't think I'll be trying out, as I usually end up being the target of a 4-player free-for-all. Some news was dropped that we may see the next 3D Mario title next year at E3. Maybe. And Nintendo isn't too concerned about being a graphics powerhouse for a console. Ugh! Nintendo, please, listen. I don't care if you're not going to make a Project Scorpio claim. What I do care about is that you're at least powerful enough to be able to handle third-party port jobs of these new systems coming out, and not just the PS4 and Xbox One games. Can you do that for me, Nintendo? I would be okay if you were more like the PS2 of the 6th gen, where even though it wasn't as powerful as the other two, it could at least have the ports of the third-party games. That's all I ask for when it comes to the NX. At least in terms of graphics and power. Now finally, the new Zelda title. And it sounds a lot better when you raise your right hand and move it to the right, or vice versa with the left hand. Say it softly with an emphasis on the last word, Breath of the Wild. Now it sounds really good. First off, wow, this is huge is an understatement. Then again, I heard it's not going to be as big as Xenoblade Chronicles X, but it's still the biggest Zelda game they've made. For me, it looks more like Monster Hunter than it does Zelda, what with all the different weapons you can use, and they can break, and you have to cook dinner because the grass doesn't have hearts anymore, and the different armor and equipment you can use that vastly change your appearances and abilities. I think. Though I have to say, hearing myself say it looks like Monster Hunter makes me wish we had an online co-op for this game. But we probably won't, but that's okay, because I think I can get a lot of playtime out of this. I love hearing that you can start the game, and before you find out why you even woke up, you can go beat the final boss. That's insane to me! You have to be either really good or crazy to do it, and you miss out on everything else, but I love the fact that it's there. They're gonna have 3 new amiibos for this, and that one looks really huge. And you can even use the Wolf Link Midna amiibo to have a wolf help you out, which is one of the best amiibo bonuses I've ever seen! There's some voice acting for the game, but it's not fully voice acted, but it's a start, and Link remains mute, which is good for me. So that rumor was about 67% right. Even though we all kind of figured out before being announced that Zelda would be for both Wii U and NX, that it would be on the NX as well. So the rumor that was false was going to be able to play as female Link. Honestly, I'm not losing sleep over it, and to be even more honest, I don't like the idea of Link being a customizable character. I like having him with an identifiable look, and even though it's hard to tell, he does have his own personality in the games. If there's a female Link, then I want her to be her own character with her own abilities and adventure. Pretty much what Linkle is in Hyrule Warriors. They also said something along the lines of, if we were to have a playable female in the main Zelda series, we'd like it to be Zelda, but then when is Link going to do? And there have actually been 3 good times where that could have happened. Skyward Sword, you could have had Zelda overcome her own obstacles and trials while Link is trying to find her. Wind Waker. Tetra. I think that's all I need to say. Ocarina of Time. Link is asleep for 7 years. You could have had Zelda escaping Ganondorf's clutches and have a time skip where she's Sheik and you're trying to help everyone like rescuing Princess Ruta from being frozen in Zora's domain. Then the next day I hear them say that they've thought about a spin-off where you play as Sheik, and I'm just thinking, why haven't you put 2 and 2 together yet? Zelda is not always a damsel in distress, and there are moments where you could do that. Make it an unlockable after beating the game, or dare I even say DLC, but I'd rather it be unlockable. Since I'm on a little bit of a tangent here, I've been hearing that there is no music in some of the overworld parts, just ambience. I really hope that changes, and I hope I'm not the only one who wants that, but I'm not going to outrage on this. I'd rather be taken seriously, and ask if possible, to experiment with different music pieces and instruments to see if something can really fit here. I don't want to throw a petition out there, I just want to make a small suggestion, and that's it. And the last 2 pieces of info we got, Ganon is returning as well as the Koroks from Wind Waker. Speculation on where this takes place in the timeline will be fun. I think it could be before the Great Flood in Adult Link timeline, but until we know more, or get an official confirmation, it'll be anyone's guess. Okay, that's basically all I have to say about E3 this year. Pretty good overall. Still wish Nintendo kept to their original plans and showed the NX, but it looks like we'll at least see it in the fall. Unless it's delayed, and that might not be a bad thing. So, what are you looking forward to the most? What disappointed you the most? And when do you think we'll see the NX? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in another video. Like the second part of my favorite Wii games list. Later, everyone!